Okay. Hi, welcome to the Valley Community Library Online. We are proud to be a PA Forward Gold Star Library. Today's program is Teen Treks Hiking 101. This is promoting health literacy. And we are joined by Sarah Corcoran from the Sierra Club as our main presenter. If you have not yet received your teen trekking kit, you do get that for participating in today's program. You can pick it up at the Valley Community Library. And if you are watching the recording and we have kits available, you can stop by and ask. We are recording this so that it can be sent out to everyone to watch again. We will also be sharing it on our social media pages for anyone that's not able to attend today.
All right, as Fawn said, we are recording today, so make sure to keep your video and your audio off, and you can put any questions you have in the chat. We will have time at the end of our call for Q&A, so you can either put your questions in the chat as you think of them or hold on to them till the end, but either way, we'll make sure that we address any questions that you have. This picture here, for those of you who aren't familiar with Zoom, it has where you can find your mute button and your video button. It also shows where the chat is located at the bottom of your screen. Closed captioning has been enabled for this program, so you should see a little CC button at the bottom as well, which isn't shown in that screen. You can click that to enable closed captioning. We will have live transcription available with the recording, so that you can watch it with closed captioning on as well. We will also share out copies of the slide deck for if you would rather look over the pictures that way and click on the links versus watching the full recording.
There is so much for teens and kids to do at the Valley Community Library this summer. In July, we are going to have teen sewing. I sew ice cream. Pictured here, you can register to get all the supplies you need to sew your own felt ice cream magnet. The video will be posted on Facebook, and that's how you'll follow along. We also have our 2 in-person programs. We have Savvy Planning for motivated young adults. This is goal setting. And in July, we are going to focus on how to use your journals for self-care. You will get a Savvy Planning kit for registering, and space is limited. So if you are interested in joining us for that, be sure to register soon. We also have Teen Reads, a graphic novel book club. If you are interested, you can call the library and register. We're going to read the book Illegal, which is a fantastic, really eye-opening book.
And upcoming events with the Sierra Club, we are just restarting in-person outings and events for the summer. Yay! So if you'd like to stay in the know about upcoming events, you can either join our local mailing list. You can check out our events on the Sierra Club website, the Pennsylvania Sierra Club website, or you can follow us on social media.
All right, meet your presenters. I am Fawn Contreras. I use she, her pronouns. I do youth services at the Valley Community Library. Now, I love the outdoors. I love hiking and camping and paddleboarding. Everything that's in the summer all the way up until it gets cold, and then I hibernate.
I hibernate as well, Fawn. I am not a fan of the cold weather, although I'm a big fan of the occasional snow fort. My name is Sarah Corcoran. I use she, her pronouns. I am the conservation program manager for the Pennsylvania chapter of the Sierra Club. And one of my favorite outdoor activities is finding a shady spot and watching patches of sunlight come through the trees. It's not very active, but it's still one of my favorite things to do. So today we are going to be talking about hiking 101. So, what type of gear do you need? What do you do when you're out on the trail, trail safety, trail etiquette, all that good stuff. But the first thing I want you to do is think in your head, what do you picture when I say the word hiker? Is it something along these lines? You got your Patagonia puffy jacket, you got your big name brand backpack, the hiking shoes, the whole kit and caboodle. Or do you think of something more like this? You're hiking in the woods with a comfy pair of shorts and sneakers, and just enough essentials to get you through the hike. Both of those folks are hikers. It just depends on how far of a hike you're taking and what gear you feel that you personally need. When I go on a hike, there are actually very few things that I think of that I actually need. First, you need a good pair of shoes. My shoes aren't super expensive. They're, Walmart specials that I've had for way longer than I probably should have them. But I have here my hiking boots, which are the ones on the left. They're waterproof, so they're great for hiking through the mud or on a rainy day, or if you happen to be hiking on a trail that you need to cross a stream or something along those lines. And then I have my sneakers. They're hiking sneakers. They've got good tread, but they're, normal sneakers. They're mesh. They're lighter. They breathe well, which I use for when I'm hiking on like a hotter day. The next piece of gear that I always bring with me is my backpack, filled with all sorts of goodies to keep me going. I get hangry. I really need snacks when I'm out on the trail. I just pictured some granola bars and some nuts and some fruit. But whatever you need to keep you going, you should pack with you. The most important thing that you need is water, though. Whether you're going to be out for an hour or 5, you definitely want water with you, especially if it's a hot or humid day like it is today. There are other things that you can bring with you and you probably should bring with you, but those 3 things were like the top of the list. In your Teen Trek kit, you'll notice a handy little hiking checklist that was put together for you, with different things that you could bring along on a hike. Notice that water and food/snacks are at the top of the list. But other things that you might want to bring with you, and you don't always need to bring these things with you, but depending on what type of hike you're taking, you should definitely throw them in your backpack as well. But think about like the different questions when preparing for a hike. Think about, do I have everything I need? How long am I going to be gone? How difficult is it going to be? What's the weather? Is it going to be sunny? Is it going to be rainy? Is it going to be super hot? Did it just rain? Is the trail going to be muddy? Is there water nearby? Because if there's a lot of water or it's going to be muddy, it's probably going to be a little bit more buggy as well. Is there cell phone service? There's a lot of areas in Northeast PA that don't have consistent cell phone service. And if there isn't, you want to make sure that someone knows where you are before you leave. Even if there is, you should definitely tell someone where you're planning on being hiking and who you're going to be hiking with. So that way, If something happens, or if you're out longer than expected, they know to check in. Other questions to think about are there trash cans or bathrooms at the trailhead? Because if not, you'll probably want to bring trash bags with you. Or if you're going to be out for a extended hike, where you're outside for a long, long time, or if you're doing an overnight backpack, you're going to probably want to bring some toilet paper or something with you as well, because there's usually not bathrooms in the woods. Also, do you have a map? Do you know your way around? If it's a trail you've been on before, you may not need a map, or if it's something that's very well marked. But if it's your first time going there, or if it's a more difficult trail, you'll want to have something with you to help you show the way. Other things that you'll want to bring: if it's buggy, you'll want insect repellent. You'll want, if it's going to be sunny, you'll want a hat, or you'll want sunscreen. If it's going to rain, do you have the right rain gear on? Are you dressed for the weather? If you if it's going to be windy, or if it's going to be really sunny, chapstick's nice to have, if you use chapstick. But you should, I should have put a first aid kit in that picture. You should always have a first aid kit with you as well. And you'll have a little one in your teen trek kit. It's not super complex. It's just got the basics in it. But depending on how often you go out, you'll want to refresh that or add some more things to it as well. You will also probably, if you are going to a place that doesn't have cell phone service, or you even if you are, you'll probably want like a whistle with you as well, or some way to signal in case something goes wrong while you're on the hike. Things very, very rarely go wrong, but it's nice to have that protection and that backup there just in case. So a whistle is a really inexpensive way to signal to other people who may be on the trail that you could need some help. Speaking about needing help, trail safety. So you did all that prep beforehand, but once you get to the trail, there are a few more things that you need to think about. Like, do I know where I'm going? Do you have your map with you? Does someone else know where I'm going to be? Do I have a way to signal if I'm hurt? That whistle again. And the cell phone coverage. I keep saying that, but it's really important that people know where you are and you have a way to let folks know if something goes wrong. Am I being aware of my surroundings? When you're hiking, you want to look down often. There's going to be roots, there's going to be rocks, there's going to be twigs. If it's a warm day, you might come across a snake on the trail or a turtle, and you don't want to step on anybody if they're just hanging out, getting some sun. Do I know how to read the trail markers? If you've ever seen any of these marks on a tree before, these are called trailblazes. And they are one of the most common ways that a trail is marked. Sometimes trails will be marked with little signs with arrows, or they'll be wrapped with like a colorful piece of string to mark the way, but trailblazes are your most common way that trails are marked. And they're really easy to read once you've looked at them a few times. The one with the one rectangle that says that the trail is this way. So you can look ahead of you, and if you see that mark, you're going in the right way. If you see one that has two on it, the top one is which direction the trail is going to go in. So the one in the top middle, that trail is going to veer off to the right. And the one on the right-hand side, the trail is veering off to the left. And then the three on the bottom let you know if there's something different that's happening on the trail. So the first one is trail start. So the trail is going that way. If you see, it kind of looks like an arrow. The second one is trail end. So the trail is behind you. The arrow is pointing back. And that third one, it looks like the arrow is off to the side. That means that it's going to intersect with a different trail. So there's a trail that's going to be off to your right in that photo. That last one, usually one of the trail colors is going to be different. So, I'm intersecting with like the blue trail or the red trail. So when you look at your map, the maps are usually color coordinated to let you know what color trail you're going to be on. So that's a very quick explanation of trailblazes, of trail markers. We can go into that in more depth with our future recordings as well, or if you have any questions at the end. A question that people have often is, what do I do if I see wildlife? Or what do I do if I have a tick on me? I'll talk about ticks in the next couple of slides. They are very small, but they're one of the few things that we do have to worry about when you're out on the trail in Pennsylvania. But with wildlife, as long as you're respectful and you don't get too close, it's really cool to see some of Pennsylvania wildlife. We have a lot of really interesting species in the area. And as long as you're not too close and you respect that distance and you respect the species in the woods, they're really, really cool to watch. So like I said, going to spend a little bit of time talking about ticks. Not exactly the most pleasant topic, kind of makes me a little itchy thinking about it. But these are the 3 most common types of ticks that we have in Pennsylvania. The first one is your deer tick. They're usually really, really small. The next one is the dog tick. They're a little bit bigger. They're the ones you normally find on your furry friends if you happen to have a dog or a cat that goes outside. And then that last one is the Lone Star tick, which we don't really have a lot of in our area. They've just started to infiltrate, but they are around. So if you happen to see a tick that doesn't look like one that you're used to seeing, it's probably a Lone Star tick. Or I don't even have a picture of this one yet, but we have a brand new tick that just came over about a year or 2 ago from Asia. It's called the Longhorn Tick. But I don't believe they've been seen in our state yet. They were found in New Jersey, so they're close, but I haven't seen any around here. How to remove a tick. It's kind of gross to think about it, but if you're going to be in the area, even if you're just out in like the yard or walking around, you've probably come across a tick or 2. You don't want to squeeze it. You don't want to put anything on it to try to let it release its grip. You'll want to just get a pair of tweezers, or you can use the tick spoons that came in your kit to grab as close to the mouth as you can and gently lift. So if you grab the tick farther back on its body, it could get upset and spit out all the stuff that it has been sucking up, which is gross, and it makes a much itchier bug bite. So if you can get closer to the head and pull gently, chances are you'll be able to get the whole tick out, and you won't have to worry about any part of it staying in there and being itchy. And then you'll want to clean the wound afterwards. Clean the bug bite. You can put some anti-itch cream on it if you want to, but that'll make it so that it's a little there's less chance of it getting infected. You can see on this image down at the bottom of the screen that whenever you go outside, you want to do a tick check after you get out of the woods. They like to hide in the creases, so like under your armpits, back of your knees, by your belly button, behind your ears, in your hair. So you really just want to like find a good mirror or a buddy that you trust and turn around and make sure you look at every part of you to make sure that there is not one hanging around. But only embedded ticks, only ticks that are biting you can make you sick. So if you see one crawling on you, you don't really have to worry about it. And it's not instantaneous. So if you get bitten, you've got up to a day to get that tick off of you before you really have a chance of getting disease. And you can get your tick tick tested. That's harder to say than I thought it would be, with the PA Tick Lab, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But ways to prevent getting bitten. If you wear light colored clothing when you're hiking, it helps you to be able to see them better. Like if you wear like khaki pants or lighter colored pants, you'll be able to see them better than if you're wearing darker pants. It's it's a little bit dorky, but if you tuck your pants into your socks when you're hiking, it'll make it harder for them to get under your clothing. They actually have special gear called gaiters that you can wear around your ankles that do the same thing, but why spend extra money when you can just tuck in your pants? And if you treat your clothing with like a bug repellent like permethrin or a picaridin, even DEET if you have to, but that's not a chemical that I like, promoting. You can even use lemon eucalyptus oil, which has been proven by the CDC to be effective as well. Although it's a little bit greasy, so you might want to put that on your skin and not on your clothing. Those are all ways that you can help prevent ticks from getting on you. I'm gonna play this 1.5-minute long video from the PA Tick Lab that goes through how to submit a tick for testing if you happen to have one. And then I'm going to be done talking about ticks because it's not something that we want to spend a lot of time thinking about. We want to think about actually getting out and hiking and actually enjoying being out on the trail and not all of the negative stuff that comes along with it. But it's always better to be prepared than to get freaked out after the fact. It's just part of being in the woods in Pennsylvania. We have one of the highest rates of Lyme disease in the whole country. And we want to be careful of not getting sick. So here we go.
Before we get into that, we do want to give you a quick warning that there are live ticks that are crawling in this video. So they might make you a little bit
cringy. Thanks for that warning, Fawn. Yeah, there are a couple of live ticks in the video. Okay, here we go.
When it comes to tick-borne diseases, early detection is critical to prevent long-term complications. This is why we offer the fastest tick testing service available, so you can know whether you've been exposed to tick-borne pathogens weeks sooner than waiting for a blood test result. So, how does it work? In order to remove the tick properly, use tweezers and get as close to the skin as possible. Grasp at the mouth parts and pull gently until the tick releases. Put it in a Ziploc bag. Once you have successfully removed the tick, visit ticklab.org. Select Test My Tick and fill out your order information. There are 3 levels of testing packages. Choose which package you want your tick to be tested for. Don't worry if you don't know the tick species. We will automatically select the appropriate tests for your specific tick. Print out your mailing voucher, or if you do not have a printer, record your lab test ID and contact information on a piece of paper. Mail this paper with your bagged tick to Tick Lab. You will have results within 72 hours or sooner from when we receive your tick. Once we receive your tick, technicians identify the species, life stage, and approximately how long the tick has been feeding using a microscope. We will notify you as soon as we complete the identification, at which point the testing begins. Once the tick has been tested, you will be notified if your tick is carrying any pathogens.
All right, we'll go away from the crawling tick. So like I said, we're done with the TikTok for now. Yay! But it's something when we're talking about hiking 101, when we're talking about first getting out on the trail. It's not always something that people think about. And the biggest bug that most people do think about is mosquitoes, but ticks are big. So going off of trail safety, we'll do a little bit about trail etiquette next. because everyone wants to be able to enjoy their outdoor spaces. So these are part of the 7 principles of Leave No Trace, which you can learn more about at lnt.org, which is off there on the right-hand side of the screen. But I've kind of simplified them a little bit for this slide. First and foremost, stay on the trail. There's a lot of species that could be damaged or hurt if you go off the trail. And then social trails, which are trails that have been created over time by people going off the trail, can also like really impact the ecosystem. So that's number 1. Dispose of waste properly. So find out when you're planning for your hike if it's a pack in, pack out location, which means that there aren't any trash cans on site. And if there aren't, make sure that you bring a trash bag or something like that along with you. So that way you can make sure not to litter while you're out on the trail. It's always nice to have a trash bag with you anyway, because not everybody is as nice as we are when it comes to enjoying the outdoor spaces. And if you see any litter while you're out on the trail, you can pick it up and bring it home with you, leaving the area cleaner than you found it. So leave what you find, unless it's trash. Don't carve anything on trees or railings. So don't put your initials in a tree to commemorate the event. It hurts the trees. It could possibly kill them. It would be like carving into your skin, because the bark is what keeps the pests and the bad stuff out. So you don't want to carve on any trees or anything like that. Don't graffiti anything that lasts a really long time. Refrain from picking flowers, and don't stack any rocks. When you see those cool little rock stacks, those are called cairns. And they're actually used to mark like side trails or things for like backpackers or through hikers to know like there's a good camping spot nearby that you can go off of here. There's a water source here. So if you build a lot of rock piles just because you think they look cool, it can confuse other hikers that are trying to go by. Also, if those rock piles get knocked over, they could hurt things. Or if you're picking up the rocks, it's interrupting the habitat of whatever animals were living underneath those rocks. So they look really cool. They make nice pictures for your Instagram or whatever social media you use, but don't stack them. Only build campfires when and where it's safe to do so. If you are planning on doing something a little bit more than just a day hike, if you wanted to get out and do some camping, make sure you only ever build a fire in a fire ring, and don't build a fire when it's really dry or windy. Respect wildlife, don't get too close to it. Don't take anything home like a snake or a turtle or a salamander, no matter how cute it is. And don't get too close to it. A good rule of thumb, you can't see my thumb, I was making a thumb picture, is that if you hold out your thumb and look at it, if you can't cover the whole animal with your thumb, you are too close to it. So that helps you realize, like, if it's a bigger animal, you need to be farther away from it. And that it's just good rule of thumb to have. As if you're being respectful of the wildlife and being considerate of the wildlife, you should also be considerate of other people who want to use the trail. Be aware of other people that may be hiking. Move over if you see any other hikers who want to pass. Try not to be too loud if there's other people nearby, so that everyone can experience nature in the way that they want to experience it. And that's my little spiel about trail etiquette. Next up, how do I find out where to hike? There are a ridiculous amount of hiking trails in Northeast PA. Like, we are so abundantly blessed to have the natural resources that we have in our area. And It's not always super easy to find out where those hiking trails are or where those green spaces are, but there are a bunch of resources to help. So the first one, the one that I like to point people to when they're just starting to look, is the DCNR website, the PA Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. They are the department that takes care of all of our state parks and state forests. And on their website, they have information on all of our state parks. We have 121 state parks in Pennsylvania. And we also have 20 state forest districts. So if you're going to be anywhere in the state, you can look on their website. It'll tell you what resources there are at that state park, if there's like a swimming area, how difficult the hikes are on their trails, all sorts of good stuff. They even have links to maps for local trails, but that can be a little bit hard to decipher sometimes. So if you go to your county Parks and Rec page, you can see either the county or the municipal level will have the local parks listed and have directions to get there and things that you can do at those parks. All Trails is a great resource as well, because it's kind of like Yelp, but for trails. They can, folks can leave reviews about hiking trails, leave pictures so you can see what the trails actually look like. They can map out trails that might not have trail maps already created. And they'll give you a good reference for how difficult the trails actually are. Because sometimes when you're looking at a map, you can't quite tell like how steep it's going to be, or how difficult it's going to be just by looking at it. So it's always good to do a little bit of research before you go, so that way you don't get surprised when you get there. There's also some really great local hiking guides out there. You can check with your local library on the Teen Treks bookmark that you get with your Teen Treks kit. It has some great books that you can check out and read to learn more about some of the green spaces that we have in the area. Or you can check with your local land trust. That's a nonprofit organization that helps to preserve land in the area that hasn't been set aside by a state or county or municipal authority. And a lot of those areas have trails that you can go on. So Countryside Conservancy is the land trust in Lackawanna County, but you could go to like Delaware Highlands in Wayne County. They have some hiking trails that are really great. Or if you're down near Monroe County, Pocono Heritage Land Trust has a lot of trails on their preserved land as well. So there's lots of different ways that you can look and find places to hike. That picture down at the bottom is from Lake Scranton. It's a very flat, easy trail. It's about 4 miles to walk all the way around the lake. So it's a bit more moderate if you think about distance, but easy if you think about the fact that it's flat and paved. But there's no doggos allowed on that trail. So if you look at the All Trails app or website or the DCNR website, they usually let you know if dogs or pets are allowed on the trail as well. Because there's nothing worse than showing up to a trail with your four-legged friend and finding out that you can't walk there. So that being said, I know I threw a lot of information out there. So I'm gonna stop talking for a hot minute and let y'all put your questions in the chat. Don't worry about coming off of mute. You can write your chat. You can write your questions in the chat, and we'll answer anything that you have.
Great job, Sarah. I will keep an eye on the chat and read any questions out to Sarah. I know I have a couple.
Go for it.
Talking about footwear that we wear. Can I go hiking in my flip-flops?
Yes. You can go hiking in whatever makes you feel comfortable. You often hear like, oh, you can't go hiking unless you have like really sturdy shoes. And the shoes that I mentioned earlier, my hiking boots and my sneakers, those are what I feel comfortable hiking in. But if you spend all of your time walking around in flip-flops, or if you spend all of your time walking around barefoot, and that's what you feel comfortable wearing on the trail, just take your time, make sure they don't get caught in any roots or branches or rocks. And if you're wearing flip-flops, you might want to stick to an easier trail. It is really hard to climb a mountain in flip-flops. Speaking from experience, I would suggest something a little bit sturdier before doing that. But if you're just walking along a flat trail along a lake, or in a county park where it's nice and flat, wear whatever you want, wear whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Great. So what do I do if I think I might be lost, but I'm not really sure? I went out hiking once and I was on the trail and I was following the Trailblazes, but I was kind of starting to get worried that I might be lost. What do you do if you think you might be lost? And what do you do if you are definitely lost?
All right. So if you're definitely lost, you want to stay where you are and you want to call for help. So if you call either 911 or the local dispatch office, like some of the, like for example, the Delaware Water Gap, the national park that we have nearby, they have a dispatch office called the Hawk Line that you can call and have a more direct route, like connection to the rangers that work in the park. But calling 911, letting them know I am in this park, I was on this trail, and letting them know as many details as you can. Like, I think I hiked about 3 miles before I realized I was lost, or whatever details you can think of, and let them know that I am lost. I do not know where I am. I am staying put. Please have someone come and find me. If you think you might be lost, but you have a way to retrace your steps, or if you remember how long ago it was that you saw the last Trailblaze, you can very carefully or cautiously retrace your steps to try to find the last trail marker. Or if it's if you know that you're close to civilization, you could keep your ears open, use those senses, and listen out for any sign of activity. If you have that whistle with you that I was talking about earlier when you were packing your stuff, you could blow on your whistle and let folks know that you need help. A universal symbol with whistles is 3 sharp blows, like really quick, and that'll let folks know I need help. And if there's any other hikers nearby, they'll be able to find you. But don't panic. That's the number 1 rule. And if you definitely can't find your way out, if you know you're definitely lost and you're worried that it's going to start getting dark soon, or you're running out of water or any of that bad stuff, call for help.
Thank you. I've been hiking for many years. I've always grown up outside. And I was always more worried about snakes and bears and coyotes. Like, those are the stories that really stand out. But you spent a lot of time talking about ticks. So how much do I have to worry about other wildlife?
Don't have to worry about it all that much. The woods are where those animals live, and we're just visitors. And they have much better senses than we do. So they'll hear us coming. They don't want to tackle with people. It's too much work, and they don't want to get hurt either. So chances are, if you see something, they will have known that you were on your way anyway. They would have seen you first or heard you first. So it's very rarely that you're going to have any sort of run-in with anything that could hurt you. If you do come across a snake, most of the snakes in Pennsylvania aren't venomous. But if you hear that rattle, it's probably a rattlesnake letting you know that, stay away. I'm dangerous. I don't want you to hurt me. But you really only find rattlesnakes generally on sunny days, in rocky areas, and they'll let you know if they're nearby. But don't get too close, stay back, let them do their thing. If they're just crossing the trail, let them cross the trail and enjoy the experience. There's no reason to do anything like throw rocks or like hurt them any way, shape, or form. They're just living their lives. But yeah, there's a chance that you'll see something out on the trail. And as long as you are respectful and you stay back and you don't run, just either slowly back up or stay really still, they'll leave you alone.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah, I saw a coyote last week while I was biking the Heritage Trail, and he saw me, looked at me, and then ran off into the woods. There was quite a distance between us. I think I've seen a bear in the woods once when I was horseback riding, and only ever once. But other than that, I haven't come across any wildlife often. And like I said, I'm outside a lot. Most of the time it's salamanders and frogs.
See a lot of squirrels.
Yeah, and chipmunks.
Birds are cool. Yep.
All right. If there's any questions that you have after we're done with this video, you can still reach out to Sarah and I. We will be sharing this video on YouTube and Facebook, so comment your questions and we'll do our best to answer us. And we can go to the next slide. All right, speaking of our next session, we are doing teen treks, Ziegler Preserve. Sarah and I will go out and hike Ziegler Preserve, which is one of my favorite trails in Lackawanna County. We're going to talk about the preserve. We'll identify plants along the way. Sarah is fantastic about pointing out items that we'll see. We'll talk about some different scenarios that may happen and what we should do. And the video will be posted on Facebook on July 19th. So mark your calendar. And then if you go out and check out the trail, we'd love to hear from you. You can follow us on Facebook, the Valley Community Library. I hope you're already following. There's also PA Sierra Club, which is the Pennsylvania chapter of the Sierra Club. And then we have a local Northeast PA chapter that you can also keep an eye on. And we have our 2 YouTube channels on the screen down on the right hand corner. Again, we both want to say thank you so much for coming today. Our contact information is here if you should have any questions. And then you can stop in at the library. You can follow our websites to see all of the events and news that's going on. Sarah, do you have anything else you want to end with?
No, I think that's it. Thanks for joining us today. Like Fawn said, if you have any questions, just send us an email. I'd love to chat and share stories and new trails and all that good stuff. And if you're outside, I cannot stress enough to bring water, especially if it's humid or hot. when you get moving, you'll need to drink more to stay hydrated. There's nothing worse than being dehydrated. So those are my last words. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you.